What up, everybody? It's Andy from Tap Trade. Today I'm going to be talking about the crypto markets, specifically Bitcoin and Solana, using our proprietary trading indicator known as THOR. You can find all the information about our trading history at taptrade.io/Thor. And for those of you who don't know, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is simply me using our tool to help myself navigate the markets and hopefully helping people learn how to navigate it themselves along the way. I do cover setups and trades that I'm personally looking at, and the only thing that I use is our indicator Thor. That is the only lens I look at the markets through. It's not meant to be sort of self-shilly. It's not meant to be pat ourselves on the back at how great it is or anything like that. I just don't know how to trade otherwise. And this is what I have used to help me change my life. And so I hope that it will be beneficial for others. If you want to learn more, best place to find out more information is taptrade.io. You can find our Telegram channel there where you can connect with our community of users who are also using the indicator and Thor and our other trading services. And it's great just to connect with other people who are using the tool. With that, let's dive right in. It was a good class that we had on Wednesday, and if you saw it, you still had time to consider some of the same moves I was considering. And like I said, not financial advice, but Bitcoin. We had a class that said, hey, is it like long territory? Are we going to all-time high? Are we yada, 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 yada? What's going on? What do I do? And pretty much the setup that we talked about is what ended up playing out. And that's one of the things that's cool to go back and look at specifically, because when you're in those positions, when you see Bitcoin hitting an all-time high and you're wondering, dude, are we going to 120? Is this that whole, crazy bull cycle everyone talks about? Is Michael Saylor buying? Whatever. It doesn't matter. There are trades that present themselves that you probably wouldn't have known about and or you wouldn't have known how to execute. So that's something we now covered, and we got the data, and we got the history, and we got the other video you can go back and watch if you want to just check me on my BS. Whatever it is, I'm not here to take anybody's lunch. This is honestly us trying to give one of the most impactful non-vaporware pieces of tech that I've personally seen in the crypto market. If you're not familiar with us, we do exist on Solana. You can find our manual trading signals that we're using in a pay-per-request system called our Ask Thor system. And that is what I am hoping you will eventually check out yourself. And if not, and if you're getting just value from coming and listening to these classes or watching our YouTube or whatever it is, I still hope that you'll eventually find credibility in our historical performance and what we go through live together instead of what I'm telling you we're going to do. That's why we started recording these, and that's just the entire approach we've always had. Look at what we do, not what we say we're going to do. So let's talk about some of that already. We talked about Thor, and I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to move my mic and everything. So we talked about Bitcoin. Everybody was freaking out. Timelines were bullish. Socials were blowing up. Yada, yada, yada. I have indeed been trading Fartcoin. Do not judge me. Thor still works on every asset. We were sitting here talking about what to do, and we had a perfect 1 hour setup that just happened. We hit our entry. I think it was let's just see if I can pull it back up. So it probably, since it's already played out to TP1, is not on the Ask Thor system. We have an invalidated section of our signals if they play out to take profit or if they get invalidated by hitting the invalidation level. They do move over into a new column. That's the invalidated column. You'll want to go back and reference that in exactly times like this where I'm like, hey, look at this trade I took. Oh, I got to go find it. If you're a member of our subscription model, there's a ton of other tools to help you, like save your trades, watch lists, etc., etc. On the Ask Thor system, it is a limited amount of time access. So you do have to pay for signals, and you get 48-hour access to them, or new 30-day access. So if you don't want to have your signals invalidated, if you want to keep up with your trades, or if you just want 30-day access, you can do so by pulling up this menu and requesting T30. T30 is 30-day access to whatever asset it is that you're requesting signals on. I'm looking at Bitcoin USD. Had I had that trade saved, and I'm going to actually switch so that we can just go back and look at it because I can find it on my other one. This is the subscription access. This is what's fun here. Bouncing around a little bit. So, it was a 1 hour signal. Boom. And it was right here. We talked about this straight up. Was it the absolute pico perfect top of the Bitcoin, pump, quote unquote, or whatever, price action, whatever you want to say? No, it wasn't. But was it a really damn good entry? Hell yeah, it was. Did it ultimately end in hitting take profit? Yeah, one. I don't know what it's going to show on like Hyperliquid. Let's just look. So we got all the way down to 107.35 on Hyperliquid. So you hit through take profit 1, you did not hit take profit 2. Cool. Right on. Was that like the end all be all? Oh my God, this algorithm is so life changing. No. It's a great start to you experiencing that. But at the same time, if you would have taken this, if you would have applied 10x leverage, if you would have managed your risk to reward, if you would have had a healthy stop loss set in place, for me personally, my stop loss was not triggered. My take profit 1, which is what I'm a maxi for, because of situations like that, where maybe it doesn't go all the way through, you can't get cutesy with it, and those wicks are too damn quick for you to really adjust unless you're like hardcore monitoring. I was asleep. That's why I take profit 1. I'm happy if I wake up and I made money. That's where I'm at. I'm happy if I had a Thor signal that I used to emotionally check myself. And even if you don't take it, or if you find yourself looking at a signal like this and you don't know what to do with it, that's where the talking about it part comes into play. That's where joining Telegram really comes into play. If you're even considering using it, just talk to other people. Because maybe you don't know what to do. Maybe this is your first time joining. Maybe you guys have other trades who are joining in Discord right now. Maybe you'll have other trades going on. And you're like, all right, dude, well, I didn't take that Bitcoin short. But we were all talking about it that day. I spent a couple hours live trading after I got done recording, and there was a lot of competing trades going on. It's really funny to see. Talk to 10 traders, get 10 opinions, right? That's just how it goes. Here's what worked for me personally to walk away from that situation with profit. Taking that 1 hour Thor signal, which up until recently, I think had... Let me just look real quick. We just check whatever. Who cares about recently? Let's see what it is right now. An 83.3% win rate on Bitcoin signals. Okay, cool. Hell yeah, right on. I didn't try and force a trade. I didn't try and over leverage anything into a trade. I just waited. And I got my entries. And then subsequently on this Bitcoin signal right here, boom, take profit 1 for a fat 21.6%. And the other asset that we talked about, the other one that we even went through and talked about the setups. Solana, 4 hour signal at 181.94. Okay, so it didn't get there right here on this one, but that's not going to be... So if you are new to trading, you know that not every exchange is the same. It's all active, live trading volume. People are buying and selling against each other. There are discrepancies against it. 181. Yeah, okay, so here we are. My bad. I was just looking at it wrong. Yeah, 181.4 to 182, let's just say, whatever. And then we had a 1 hour signal that was at 183. So what did I do? I set my range. Solana was, I think, 170 something at the time. 173, I don't know, whatever it was. Right now it's at 182.56, just for reference. So I had 3 signals, 180 to 183. I set staggering orders, building up a short that was about a 14% hedge against my spot assets. I hit all 3 entry zones. It pumped past it. Clearly,
Might need a mute HOV for 53. His mic's coming through pretty hot.
Oh, my bad. Thanks, though, for the heads up. I had him muted, but no server muted. Anyways, you're hot micing, HOV. But we'd love to have you talk, hit us up, ask questions, fix your mic, bro. Anyways, so those are the setups. That was where my head was at. I didn't know F all about anything other than Thor signals. That's the funny thing. People expect I'm some great trader. I just know how to use this damn tool. That's it. Here's my signal that I started my entry. There was the 4-hour signal where I put more weight in terms of like capital margin on that trade because it's a 4-hour signal. Then there was equally a 183 entry on the 1 hour. So I knew that there was already probability that we were going to pump past the 4-hour signal and that I should probably double down. And I did. I set, I don't know the exact amounts. Boom, 1 order. Boom, 2 order. Boom, 3 orders. It pumped past. I looked at negative P&L for a little bit. I went to bed. I had a healthy stop loss. I think my stop loss is something around like 194. I forgot exactly what it was. Maybe 197. It was a 1-to-1 R&R, which is also something that I'm happy running. I do set myself up for a potentially higher drawdown, but that's also why I don't apply a ton of margin. If I'm looking at a healthy return, I'm personally okay weathering a little bit more of the, BS that goes on in the markets, wicks, stop hunting, whatever. So I set a 1-to-1 R&R. My stop loss was not triggered, and I woke up richer than I went to bed. And that's a really great feeling. Both Bitcoin and the Solana plan that we talked about on Wednesday just worked. Now, cool. Right on. Patting myself on the back for a little bit. And I hope you are too, at least for even considering that trade setup. So where are we at today? What do we have going on now? Where are the markets? This is when it can be frustrating. And this is when it can be really difficult. And this is when you are fighting yourself to not force anything. Because I always start with using Bitcoin. You want to talk about like the Andy speculation? Because I'm not like some crazy, hardcore tuned in trader news and reports and yada, 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 yada. Bitcoin just hit all-time high. If I've been around in previous cycles since 2013, there has not been that funnel of profits from Bitcoin funneling into altcoins, all that other stuff. That can happen after all-time highs, people taking profit. That has a small indicator in terms of like Bitcoin dominance. Obviously not small, but pretty effing important, truth be told. Bitcoin dominance, all of that good stuff is what goes into win alt season, quote unquote, right? Here's my recorded first take on that. I think we're smelling it in there, personally. I think Bitcoin has a little bit of a run left in it still. I don't think that we're going to see a ton of trickle down into alts, majors, Ethereum, yada, yada, yada. Things I'm personally watching are things that haven't had a bull run yet. Injective, SUI, things like that. Layer ones that are having a good narrative. And so that's where my bias is starting to turn. I want to watch Thor for Bitcoin signals to get just a basis of what the market's doing. I will use Bitcoin dominance alongside projected Thor signals for Bitcoin and then the alts that I'm looking at. That's how my head is sort of getting, readjusted. Bitcoin dominance growing, right on. Price surging, all-time highs, makes sense. Where it goes from here, I don't know. If anyone in Discord has an opinion on that, I'd love to hear it. But for me personally, I think that Bitcoin dominance remains dominant for at least the next couple of months. But we're slowly going to be building underlying liquidity flowing into alts. But I'll pause there. And you are on recording, and this will be on the YouTube, just so you know if you do join in.
I have to say that I agree with you in a sense that this is a different cycle in a sense that there's so many tokens out there. I mean, on Solana, every second there's like a new token. So maybe the metric is not what it used to be, at least.
Yeah. Totally one valid possibility. That's for damn sure. There was a tweet shared in our trading channel, DGen Trader channel. It was something like 3,000 tokens launched just in 24 hours, only on the Bonk launchpad on Solana. So, pretty wild. Just make sure it's not even undercutting it. Yeah, pretty wild. So there are a ton of tokens getting launched. Yeah, 3,000 tokens. Only 27 migrated, though. And 2 tokens surpassed $5 million fully diluted value. So pretty wild, you know, all things considered. So is there gas in the tank for alts? You know, I do think so. I think that the gambling meta will come back to a degree. I'm still going to be looking for setups on Thor that are just going to make those like 4x trades that I'm comfortable on assets that I'm holding. I'm to a point now where I will be rolling over some of my my earnings into positions as they present themselves on spot assets. I already own a lot of these spot assets. AVAX is one that I'm like really keen on, and then SUI too. I did buy more SUI on that dip. There was a big exploit. That's always fun, but it had nothing to do with the blockchain. It was just a random protocol, so that doesn't really dictate any negative reflection on the blockchain, in my opinion. For that protocol, CETUS though, that sucks. Do better. I lost my light. So, anyways, that's the fun. Fartcoin short and profit. Right on. Tap. What am I trading? And let me see if I can turn this light back on. There we go. All right, there we go. So, there's a timer on that. Trades. What do y'all want to trade? Fearless, you're hot micing also, but no big deal. Lemon, what do you got, man?
W call was beautiful.
Which one? Oh, the W call.
Yeah, the 1 hour short from yesterday.
Yeah, that one worked really well too. We got a 4-hour short that's active still. That didn't get there. Oh, it did. Oh, yeah, look at that. 1-4. So even the 4-hour short, look at that W short right there. And all of you viewers on YouTube, this isn't anything new to us. We've been using this for 3 years. Let me move the mic closer. We've been using this for years. We've grown an established community of people who also had to sniff through to see if this was bullshit or not, and ultimately sniffed out that it wasn't. So, if you're skeptical, come and talk to other people. Join our Telegram. That's the big effing takeaway for today. Join the Telegram. For you in Discord also, join the fucking Telegram. Thank you. Said with love. First 5 people from the Discord to go into the Tap Telegram and say !FF, I'm going to give you 5 free Ask Thor signals. So if you guys want to do that, you can pop in there, !FF, and first 5, I think I said. So we're giving out 25 Ask Thor signals. And if you can't find the Telegram, you can find it at taptrade.io. And there is a Telegram button for you to click. I think that's the easiest Ask Thor signals we've ever given away. So fun. So all right. So anyways, all around fun stuff. Look, shorts printed, cool. We're all happy. We made some money. We all made money on different assets. The big thing here is that we made money while navigating the markets to not get overly bullish. You know, and we just either hedged, took some responsible shorts. If you're allowed to, you need to have the proper licensure. Or live in a legal country to be able to do so. We're not trying to get anybody in trouble here. Yada, yada, yada. We're happy we took shorts. Now what do we do? So I personally do not think that we're done with this run. I am going to start by looking at Bitcoin. And before I got off on that hardcore tangent, we don't have any signals on Bitcoin. Oof, that's hard. Cool. Oof. What are you going to do? You're going to sit around and you're going to talk about the alts that you want to hit. You know that Bitcoin just hit all-time high. You know that you just hit a short. The short went to take profit 1. You still could potentially have a drawback to the take profit 3. You still know that there's potentially a pullback. Why? Just because there's a little bit of green doesn't invalidate that that signal is still technically active and that you've only hit take profit 1, which invalidates it by moving it over to a finished signal. But you can still have juice left in that thing to squeeze. So I only have that take profit 3 on my radar, that Bitcoin could still go to 1065. If you get a little bit of pullback and papa, especially in the beginning of things, you will probably see a bleed in alts. And if you don't, those are the alts to pay attention to. If you see a pullback in Bitcoin and you see alts that are maintaining or going green, what does that mean? People are fucking moving their liquidity from Bitcoin into other alts. And sometimes they're being really subtle about it. A lot of people already bought way cheaper. So get that one out of your head. Don't be like, bro, I'm so early. You're not. Early was when it crashed out and you thought everything was over. You know, early, quote unquote, to this potential next leg up and or right now was $1,500. So people are taking profits all across the board. All those shorts that we just took, if you're running it as a perpetuals, those aren't anything. That's you piggybacking off of the spot traders that just bought hella low and protected our bags and are now taking profit. So GG, right on. You did a good job. Especially if you bought spot, which a lot of us did. Especially if you used Thor. You sure as hell did. Right on. So, Andrew, trades. All of this yipping and yapping has really been to try and set you up for where I'm fundamentally at in terms of my trading bags. I'm looking to get in and out of shorts. If I take any shorts, I am in, I am out. I am not going to get wrecked by the markets just fucking ripping face right now. If I don't get all of the profit from a short and it ends up dipping more, I don't care. I'll look for my entries on spot bags. That's where I'm back to being. Y'all have heard me, at least through the recording, say, F this, I just want USDC, F this, I just want USDC. What I'm doing now is I'm rolling profits over to the assets that I'm willing to trade for this cycle or hold on for potentially this next leg up. It's not going to be a ton, and if they have a big downtrend, if it continues to get a pullback, I don't care. It's just profits. It's not the end of the world. You know, does it suck? Yeah, but is it the end of the world? No. Now, hold on one second. So cool, right on. Y'all know where my head's at in terms of how I'm looking at the market. Now fucking shut up, bruh, and give me trades. Well, learn how to use it yourself. If you're following me, it takes time. I got to go through all that to know. I just went through all that with my own funds, right? Y'all saw how I navigated some of it. What am I looking to trade? Well, we're about to release Hype as the next asset that we're trading just for single frog holders. So all of y'all, if you don't give a shit about Jito or you're bored with Jito, right on, understood, like, got it. We're switching it up, and now you get Hype. That's going to happen next month. Hype has been a fun one. I just want to check this real quick. Yeah, Hype has been a fun one. 80% win rate, 75%-ish since we released the tracking assets of it. You guys are getting a banger asset for owning the Cyberfrog NFT, which is also a subscription access to Thor, for those of you watching on YouTube. 80% win rate on that. So, like, let's talk Hype. Let's start there. I want to be trading it. I like it. It works. Let's see what's up. Well, there you go. That's a banger asset and out trade. What am I trying to do in terms of like a weight on this trade? Well, for me personally, I just made decent profit, most of which I've been depositing into the automated Hyperliquid vault, not shilling, just being straight. But I'd take that. I'd take that right smack dab and in a hurry. And it's so funny and wild and cool that they trade hype on Hyperliquid. Because it's a little self-redundant. Potentially dangerous territory. Alright. So we got 33 on the table right here. 33.2. I'm just going to see if we have any recently invalidated things that would make me sus. So just looking, like I said, I don't know a ton about candle theory. I know a little bit, but we got big ass fair value gaps posted all up in here. We have some range that you should be going back and back testing, at least from like a support level. You can look and see just across the board without a ton of data. You know, we're sitting here at all-time high above. We hit all-time high. We've come back. We're dancing around what's going to happen right now. But just from 2 candles, you got a big ass gap right here, and you got a big ass gap that we just printed. Is this the gap for the rest of the cycle? Probably is where I think. Do we come back and retest this one? Yeah, probably. Do we come back and retest this one or this one? Maybe not for a while. If we got all the way back down here, you know, that would still continue. You just don't have a ton of data on hype from like an overall like charting. You know, you can draw some random BS if you want to. We can do that if it makes you feel more comfortable. I do not chart. I do not do my thing. You can run some of your wedges. You can, you know, wherever you want to put your crap, depending on what you think, all that good shit. Broken out of a downtrend. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Well, where's my uptrend? Well, we're establishing, I think, what could potentially be, but I still see where you're going to come back and test. If you hit that 13 right there, oof, 60% down still, you can still technically be on an uptrend. You know, like I said, y'all, not an effing charter, not a mathematician, not doing anything other than speculating some BS that I see our other teachers be a lot better at, specifically mode. You know, you can do whatever the F you want up here. Maybe retest, but you can come all the way back down and still be bullish. This is complete fabricated, absolutely no idea how to chart any of that crap. But you don't need to be a charting freaking genie to see that there's still a lot of potential to maintain a positive incline, a positive movement in the markets upward, and still have a fat effing pullback. One that you probably don't want to see, but that's easy to feel like when you're up here, you know, sucking hopium down your effing throat. You know, that's what's hard to do. So make your calculated decisions. Until I see anything on 4 hour, until I see anything on 1 day, I'm not making any fat moves on hype. But I will go ahead and take that. That's a solid play right there. 3.2 to 3.4 longing with a decent return. Back, sort of, what I was just, you know, BSing about. A small pullback back to retesting what was or is and will be all-time highs. And still just playing that move. You don't have to go do anything crazy right now. You can just go and play that move. 4 or 5%, right on. Cool. I'd set that trade. That's a trade I'm going to take. Right? Now, stop loss. You know, all of that fun stuff. What's your risk? What's your reward? For me, just getting 4% and putting 20 grand on it could be a decent return. If you're applying leverage to it, you need to do the math. Let's just say for ease that you're putting a 10x leverage on something like this. And this is not financial advice. This is all hypothetical. If you did put a 10% leverage on that, your expected profit, that little decimal moves over. You have 46.6% potential return on the table. Now, what are you going to do in terms of your stop loss? Because if you're trying to make 46% and you're not risking it for the biscuit, if you're putting your stop too tight, you'll get stopped out, you'll lose money. If you over leverage, you'll see a lot of red, most likely, before you see a lot of green. And if you put your stop loss too aggressive, if you don't have the margin to cover your call, if you go too fat on an order, you'll get rinsed. Happens every day, all the time. So even if you got the balls to do high leverage, and I'm just saying 10x here, 46% on the risk, maybe a 24% risk, or 46% on the reward, potentially like a 26% risk factor. That's a heavy ass pullback. So I'm not trying to give anybody a specific trade setup, but what I'm personally saying for myself is that if I want 10x leverage, 46% return, I'm for sure going to be willing to see a lot of red in order to get there. And you can do it by dollar amount. You can do it by percentage basis and run like a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, whatever it is that you feel like you're comfortable, or if you need a little help running with our risk management calculator right there. And if you don't know how to use it, join us in Telegram, where you can learn how to use Thor, and you can see signals, and you can talk to people who are also using Thor signals. And it's a great place to hang out and make friends. Trading is great. And it's a lot easier with Thor, and it's a lot easier with people that you can just bounce ideas off of. Not trying to be stupid and shilly, but it's the truth. So, hype. I got my setup. I'm not going to do 10x leverage. I think that's way too much. That's just not for me. Right on. I'll do 3x and I'll put 10 bands on it though. That I'm down for. I'll set that gives me a 15% return. I'll put a 10% drawback on it. Whatever. So like a 1 to 1.5. That's my trade setup. And now what I'm going to do is pop that in my let's come back and revisit this box called my watch list. And hopefully we'll come back and look at another fun trade. Last things last. What did I say I was going to cover? I said Bitcoin. Haha, we didn't have any Bitcoin signals, and I knew that beforehand. Sorry, my bad. Little bits of joy. One day on Solana. Hit that 4-hour short. That was great. We don't have anything else other than the pending short. I already know that Bitcoin could potentially still go back to 106 because it's the take profit 3 for that short I've already exited, but still on the table for. Shorts were posted across the board on everything. Take profits for spot traders. Shorts for people who are writing it on the perpetual trading side of things. Still have an active trade at 191 for the Solana short. Didn't get up to the higher range, but we did go right in the middle. And we are currently right back at the 1-day short range for Solana. So it is big ol' make up your mind mode for Solana right now. We've run a ton of great trades while it's still doing its making up its mind. And it is not uncommon for this to happen. 1-day trade, macro time frame, big zoomed out, fun. It's hit it once, had a market reaction, come back. Let's see if it has a market reaction or if it breaks through this and that this ultimately comes support and flips from resistance. Fun terminology that you don't really need to know. And you also don't have to be a charting fucking expert to just draw some random lines and be like, hey, some of these boxes make a ton of sense. But I don't need to know any of this shit. I just need to know that 1-day signals slap, and that with proper risk management and proper strategy, this is either a great place for me to take some profits or, like a lot of us, short and hedge and do your thing. We have played this almost down to take profit once. This is a 4-hour long down here. So I did take some profit, thankfully. And now we see. Now we wait. And that's the fun part of waiting. So last things on this, and then we're going live on Twitter, where I'll do some fun project updates for those of you who are in Discord specific to Cyberfrogs. But if you are just joining, thank you for watching. Thanks for finding us on YouTube, TikTok, or wherever you found us. Visit taptrade.io. Come and join us in Telegram. Join the community. Come and talk to us. Follow along. We have classes 5 days a week with different teachers other than myself, all the way up to fairly technically intensive intermediate level traders. We cover stocks, we cover Forex, we cover cryptos, and we even cover meme coins, all comfortably wrapped around the help of Thor, which is our proprietary trading algorithm with a cumulative win rate of 70%. So the setup that I talked about today for myself was hype. We'll come back and revisit that one. GG. Thank you, Thor, for the great Bitcoin and Solana trades. I am going to wait and see when we get additional long entries, if we get them, I will be buying spot. Until then, I am just going to be in and out of shorts. You know, this was maybe not like a trade setup specific sort of conversation for me today, but this was a really big mentality shift. And that is like an update to how I'll be navigating the markets. Last things last. Hyperliquid. If you don't have time for none of this, if you don't think that this is, groovy, whatever, you don't have time. Trading's hard, even with the help of Thor. We are happy trading in our automated Thor vault at Tap Trade. If you want to find our automated trading vault, you can go to Hyperliquid, click vaults, and you can find us under Tap Trade. Currently top 20 by TVL. These are not accurate in terms of monthly returns, and you can find all of our information on how we've been trading by navigating to trade history, and you can closed P&L, export CSV, view all, and just look at our wins or losses. There is also a new, let me just go find it real quick. Hyperliquid has a dashboard that you can follow to get a more accurate depiction of our vault. And you can find obviously our best month. The average monthly return isn't accurate. They're only doing April and May and then applying it to an entire year, so not terribly accurate. But this is a great place for you to come and see how our vault is performing. If you're interested in learning more, you already know where to do it. It's in the Telegram, and you can find it at taptrade.io. And if you're interested in just having an automated trading service as a part or a diversified part of your trading portfolio, you know where to find us on Hyperliquid. Thanks. See y'all soon. Peace.